Instrumental, but it's only Wednesday. I don't want the whole bottle. This is our bad theme song. I'm seeing a lot of thumbs down.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Everyone Racers, a podcast designed for the low-dollar world of racing and oddball car culture. Whatever kind of LeChump, wee lucky mobile you run, if you belong to the SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate. We even think you drifto hella flush guys are kind of all right, as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. This is a place for tech discussion, tips, tricks, build discussions, news and notes from the world of low buck racing. And if you can handle it, Chrissy will give you just the tip. I wonder who's on the show this week. Everyone report to the pod. I'll be your traffic cop. My name is Jeff.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
And I'm Mental. We're Everyone Racers.
Now strum again.
The guitar's so far.
All right, don't worry about it.
Very
Let's just get right to it.
Okay, cool.
Let's get right to it. Today we're going to start with what you're working on. I guess I'll start since I got the mic. For those of you who don't know, this is September, and I work a hell of a lot in September. I think I'm on 29 out of 33 straight days, but I had one day off, and I had to get some stuff done. So for those of you out in podcast land, when we race, we live in my father's RV. I think all of us have slept on it. Some of us have slept on top of each other, but I'll let you guys decide who that is.
Look, we were drinking. It's different. So.
Yeah, last time, how would you guys describe what the RV smelled like at the last campsite?
We're talking yours or mine?
No, ours. The Three Pedal Mafia one.
It smelled like wet pepperoni dog farts.
Absolutely what it smelled like. Turns out the roof was leaking and we had some wet carpet. So on my only day off, I went to the storage unit, drove the RV to my house, climbed on top of it with a deck brush and scrubbed the entire roof off and resealed the hell out of the roof. And hopefully it won't smell like pepperoni dog fart anymore.
Sausage dog farts, maybe.
Sausage. It was bad. I think somebody took dead wet dogs and rubbed them into the carpet. I think that's what it smelled like.
Well, the RV was recently part of a major flood, though, Jeff, at a campground. So that's the other excuse it had.
True. That wasn't it. It was definitely the roof. Anyway, I also had a couple of extra hours off. So the daily always needs some love. My Mazda 3, I just put a full suspension on it. Thank you, Chris, for giving me the recipe. We did Coney FSDs. We cut the coils, put in a rear sway bar from a Speed 3. It's a 2012 Mazda 3 Sky Active. And it has a clunk in the rear end that just decided to present itself. And I took apart every single bolt that I put on and put them back on. And damn it, if every single one was tight.
Clunk in the rear end of Mazda 3s are usually sway bar end links.
I tried them too. So yeah, it kind of sounds like a loose clunk, not like a tight clunk. You know what I mean? Like it's not clunking. It's like the rear tire was loose or the top shock mount was loose. But I checked both of those and none of them are any good.
Just keep driving.
Just keep driving it. What's the foul? 130,000 miles, 5 years, whatever.
Bigger stereo.
So you bigger stereo. That's absolutely right. Interesting story from that night. It was about 8:00 at night. I was making sure not to strip every single bolt on the planet. And I rolled the creeper over my finger.
Now here's what made it probably better or worse. What was the ambient temperature when that happened?
Actually, it was kind of pleasant, like 65, 70 degrees.
Okay.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Because when he gets into that low 30s, high 20s, it just makes everything so much worse.
Yeah.
We live in New Jersey, not Antarctica. Like
it's September. I don't know what's going on with you people. Hey, the climate changed. I just got a hurricane in Atlanta, so
Yeah. So hey, what else? Anybody else working on?
I'm working on a whole bunch of things that I didn't actually get a lot done this week. First off, the Honda, after the tremendous performance it put in at Thompson at the last Lemons race, where it came in second, set the fast lap of the race, it is hurt in a couple ways.
I'm so glad you said that because I was going to go, hey, Chris, How is that Honda? But never mind. You've already worked it all in there. Well done.
Honda is a wonderful, wonderful car. But we heard at this race, first off, the front brake rotors, we put two giant cracks in the left front brake rotor. Now, those rotors are 3 years old, thanks to how great the Raybestos ST43 pads are. But still, two huge cracks in the rotors, like a gap. Like I put a feeler gauge in them and they'd be there. Anyway, replace those. The Civic is going to need a head gasket too. I haven't figured out where it's leaking yet. I just started to take it apart, but it's going to need new head gaskets. So I got that in from Cometic. I have to redo some of the oil cooler lines that were leaking. I've got to realign it because we put a hurting on those tires, mostly because we were driving the hell out of the damn thing. And just general race prep. I got to get my MGA ready to sell because I need to clear out the space for the garage. That's got a whole bunch of little projects, but that needs to all get done. We just bought a 07 Mazda 3 for Chrissy's little sister because everyone in the family has Mazda 3s.
Seriously? So is it like just a line of people that inherit her engines when you upgrade hers?
No, this one, Chrissy's keeping her new engine and transmission, the upgrade in her car, but Kim's car, it needs, it's like every 160,000 mile Mazda 3 they buy for $3,000. It needs shocks, it needs brakes, it needs trailing arms.
Very important question. Trunk or long roof?
Trunk.
Oh, mistake.
I know. It was
because it's got the pass through. I had one of them. I had a new one in 2007. It's got the pass through. It's a great car.
Shut your whore mouth. Long roof for life.
Chris has been looking for a long time for a car for my sister, and so we've been looking at every kind. Chris even came up with other options and couldn't find anything that was completely acceptable. I'm going to say that Kim really liked my car and the other silver Mazda that we had, and that was a long roof. So we said, how about this one that has a trunk? This is the only one we can find. It was local, and the price was super great. So that was why we went with it.
Well, Kim totally wanted a Mazda 3, and her heart was set on her parents' because her parents have a Mazda 5 that also, thanks to us, has Kony FSDs and Continental tires and all those things on it that you wouldn't expect a Mazda 5 to have. But anyway, Kim totally wanted one. All the ones I could find are either at super shady used car dealers or at rebuilt titles or manual transmissions, which she can't drive. And as much as I think everyone should drive a manual, she's probably one of the few people that let's not even try this. So this one being a one-owner car.
There goes one of our listeners.
Right, exactly. I'm sorry. This is a one-owner car, and it spent half its life in Florida, and it came with service records, and $3,000. Okay, she's going to crash it anyway, so it's good enough.
Now, on that note, though, Chrissy, doesn't your car need some loving right now?
My car does need some loving. So I drive a Mazda 3, 2007 Mazda 3. I bought it when it was brand new with a couple hundred miles on it, and it now has 204,000 miles, something like that, over that. And which is fantastic. So I've done a whole lot of upgrades to it and love it to death. It is a stick, and I drive a lot every day. So I sit in traffic, but it doesn't really matter. It's worth it. And I clutch in and out, and it's worth it. So it has a 6-speed and a nice engine in it, a 2.5 instead of a 2.3, and it's got suspension and cool air intake and all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about that later. But right now it is, so for a while it's been sitting, and the accelerator is stuck. So it is not going back to zero. So it sounds like I'm revving and want to race all of my friends when I'm sitting in my parking lot at work.
Bitchin'.
You're right.
Yeah!
It goes, Wah!
Well, if they can't tell the difference, because when it's working properly, that's what she's doing, horns out the window, doing burnouts,
Sure.
docking the stereo.
Right. Not out of my parking lot. So when I turn on my car, it's just sitting at like 2,000 RPM for no reason. So, for a reason. So.
Yeah, that was a pain to figure out. I ended up data logging the car to figure out that the accelerator position sensor was never going back to zero, and it was never going over 67%. So fortunately, a nice guy in the GRM board is parting on a 3, and I snagged a new pedal and throttle body for him. So hopefully we'll get that done soon. So what else, Chrissy?
Is that a throttle by wire?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be happy.
I hate my throttle by wire. Only thing I don't like about my Mazda.
Well, fortunately, my Mazda hasn't had many problems at all, so that one's really just the one thing that's been a little bit bothersome right now. But it doesn't seem to last fill up. It didn't seem to accept mess up my gas mileage too much. I feel like it did before, but it's not too bad. So, and then I've been helping Chris trying to get ready for going away for a race this week. So that's kind of what I've been doing.
Yeah, I need to hear this story. Chris, you're going to CMP this weekend?
Hold on, we didn't get to Mental. Didn't tell him what he's working on.
Sorry, jeez,
Hey,
Mental, what are you working on?
That's the notes and news section, Jeff. Come on, read your notes.
Go on. Mental, what you working on?
So I've been working. I saw one of these at the Chump race in Sebring last year. So I've been working on a homemade pit box. Lemons being the only series where you can't camp out pit side. Every other series you can. So it's going to have basically a laptop and an antenna so you can keep track of race monitor, and then a place for the helmets and all that other kind of stuff. What you got, Chris?
I said camping out pit side bothers me. Like, I don't want to sit there all day just sitting there waiting for our cars not to come in because they don't break. And there's not enough room for everybody to be there. And I'll just say that it annoys me. We'll keep going.
No. Well, and in that case, yes, but you always want one or two people pit side, and you want the suits right there in case the car comes in with just some sort of minor problem. And again, at Lemons, anything other than a fuel change and an ice box change, you got to go behind the wall. Everybody else gives you like 30 minutes. So, anyway, it's the idea behind it. It's everything you wish you had next to you, and a little bit more of an organized package, a little generator for when we don't have enough juice to charge everybody's phones and crap like that. Place to set everybody's helmets so they're out of the way. That stuff.
It's pretty serious. That's awesome.
Is this a welding project, a wood project? What is this?
Yes.
Did you start from something? So did you start with like a Husky box or something like that? No,
I couldn't find anything the same as light as I wanted, so I kind of got some ideas off Pinterest, and then I welded up a
Pinterest. That's so fun.
Yes, I know. I welded up a steel frame, and then I'm filling it with wood.
Does your Pinterest fail look as bad as most of the other Pinterest fails? Like, I know
Probably.
when I try to make stuff off Pinterest, it said, well, that looks nothing like it's supposed to.
Yeah, it looks like. Well, and the idea is like, oh no, it's a blend of a couple of different projects. That's why it doesn't look like any of them. Yeah, and the reason
excuse.
And the reason it's on fire is because it didn't work. But that's not the point. So actually, if I get it to be a little bit more recognizable, I'll throw that up on the Facebook page.
Unless it was supposed to be on fire, then that's super cool.
And then it's super cool. Duh. Totes.
Okay.
Most importantly is who's going to operate the welder? Because I know you don't have that kind of skill.
I do actually.
Burn.
Does this thing have tires?
It's got casters.
Yeah, you don't. Oh, good, because you can't blow them. Sorry.
Speaking of things that blow, so I guess Speedy Cop had some issue with his chopper.
Yeah.
Well, technically, I guess that thing.
News and news with Mental. Go ahead.
It's hot. It is hot. Woo!
It's hot. Hot off the presses. So, but yeah.
So he was on his way up from where he lives in D.C. to do a show with a Philadelphia channel that we listen to. It's really pretty popular. A radio show. Radio show. So they so apparently on the way up they were bringing a whole bunch of cars trying to get up here, and it randomly caught on fire. It was like everything was fine, and all of a sudden, oh, there's a fire, and they got out and they're like, oh, the copter is gone. So the funny thing is that I had more people texting me that morning and said, oh my God, do you know this guy, Jeff Block? Because they're like, this thing, they're bringing up some crazy cars. And I think he said Lemons.
So, well, yeah. It actually talked about Nick, the driver, was able to safely exit the helicopter quickly. And that alone is a feat, because I drove that thing once, and quickly and exit are not part of that chopper's design. I've never had a harder time getting out of something.
It's a question of motivation.
You know what? Fair enough. I was trying to oh, my aching back. Oh, I don't want to pop my knee. Oh, I don't want to fucking burn up. I should probably get out of this.
Like I've said, if the Citroen caught fire with Jim driving it, he was going to die. But I suppose if he had enough motivation, he'll find his way out.
I was going to say, flames licking your ass, and you get to bend in ways you never bent before. Let me tell you. So yeah, I actually listened to the radio show, and they did a pretty good job promoting themselves, and they won like $500 or $250 like that, and they donated it to their charity and actually doubled it right out of the Speedy Cop coffers. So good for them. It was some sort of bulldog rescue. So bully for them.
Sweet.
Didn't realize.
Cool. I know there's other news, and we've entered the news portion. So go, Mental. What else you got?
Well, so we know that Lemons is coming down to CMP this weekend, and for the first time in a while, as a team, Three Pedal Mafia is not going to really be represented there, are they?
It's just going to be me by my lonesome. I am going to be running with the Craigers and Kurt and Terminally Confused and the Del Sol, also known as the team that everyone likes to eat Kurt's butt. So Yeah.
Kurt's butt is really tasty. Let's be honest.
Kurt's butt is tasty. I remember when my dog's just hanging off the back of my RV, waiting to get a piece of Kurt's butt.
Yep. I think everyone in Lemons in the South has had a taste of Kurt's butt at some point, and it's going to be a great time. I'm looking forward to putting Kurt's butt right in my mouth. And also,
for those of you listening at home, that's pork butt out of a big smoker.
A lot of them, like a few of them.
Don't talk bad about him like that. He's just a big guy. You know, he works out. I mean, there's only so much he can do.
He is very strong, and he's also making 12 Boston butts for this race. And his big green eggs are start rolling Friday. They cook all day, and they are delicious. So, but also, they have a Del Sol, and that's what we're going to be driving. There's 4 of us driving the Del Sol, and I think Kurt's ship's probably going to be on Sunday because he spends all day Saturday cooking and getting ready for the big barbecue Saturday night. And Friday night's the parade, which is always a good time. I remember pushing the jet ski halfway out the parade because we thought that was going to work great, and everyone takes off and I go, and then the jet ski goes and I end up pushing it with one leg most of the rest of the way, but it was fun to have. So CMP is there. It's always nice for the parade. I don't particularly care for the track itself because it's like driving on 36 grit sandpaper, and the facilities aren't great, but it's great people, and that's why we go and have a good time. So I had PTO to burn. Let's go to CMP.
I think the surface of that track adds like a new element to it. It's an interesting strategy going down there, because there is a big difference. If you back off the throttle and start taking some lap times off, you can stretch your tires. So it's always a balance of how far do you want to push it.
Yeah. CMP also, the paddock has plenty of space. What it doesn't have is enough power, and that's always a problem at a Lemons race because so many people are running welders and stuff. You just can't literally not enough electrons in the county to run a Lemons paddock. So
true.
Also,
no internet at all. So you have like no phone, no internet.
No
there
porn.
Is a Wi-Fi.
I'm sorry. Did I say that?
Yeah, it's okay. You're married. There's a Wi-Fi you can join. But once everyone tries to get on it, especially when Lemons is down there doing their tippy tap and stuff, good luck. It's like 12.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a dial up on your phone.
So, Chris, I'm actually really glad you're going to lend support to Eric and the boys. For those of you not know, listening at home, we helped cage a car for a bunch of friends of ours. And yeah.
Hey, Jeff, everyone else is listening at home except for the 4 of us.
Sorry, real radio career. Did that once.
Except for the cats that are sitting in there, and Mental's dogs that are watching as in their home audience.
It reminds me, oh gosh, what was that movie about the Irish blues band?
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Did you always know you'd be as big as the Rolling Stones? Who the fuck are they, Terry?
Yeah, no.
It's funny in my head. All right.
So, CMP this weekend, it actually looks like the hurricane did not hit South Carolina that hard. I mean, has anybody got a reference point from the track?
From what I've heard, they got some good rain, but now everything's good, and the weather for all weekend is supposed to be 85 during the day, 65 during the night, and that's it. So it's going to be a good week. So here we go.
They're north of me, and the whole hurricane went south of me. So, yeah, no, all they got was water.
Cool.
Kind of went around them, really, so...
Yeah.
That's it. It should be a fun weekend. I'll have a nice report back on how the Terminally Confused Del Sol went, how the barbecue was, how the parade was, and how Eric Phipps and the gang and their Silence of the Lambs theme Forester works out. So we'll see how that goes. So
it puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets in the car again.
When I asked Eric if they were ready, he said, "Well, we have gallons of lotion and a stuffed poodle, so I think we're okay now."
Take lots of pictures.
Hashtag real racing right there.
Hashtag real racing. Oh,
and actually, on that subject, one quick thing before we go to our next topic. When I was emailing Nick about the garages for New Hampshire this weekend, garages are always a cluster at New Hampshire because everyone's excited to get a garage and there aren't that many and it's a big deal. So you have to send him your preference of which one. So I send him the preference. I want these ones, the ones. And I say, and ideally we'd be next to Sorry for Party because we want to make sure to put our hot tub next to their living room set because that's real racing.
Real racing. Real racing. I love New Hampshire.
I'm sad I'm gonna miss it. This is I think it's gonna be the last year I have to miss that race. But I'm not entirely sure I want to get into a hot tub after Sorry for Party's been in it. How good's a filter on that thing?
Oh, terrible.
Well, we
okay.
ruined filters in one night with that, but That's okay. Once you have enough beer, you won't care. So
I also don't think it's all sorry for party. I think it's dirty men, and because the Triumph team now a different team.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
No, it's the Triumph team that come in dirty. They work on their car all night because we don't have to work on our car because our car is staying
not a Triumph.
Together. It's not the Triumph, and they're working under it, and then they're all dirty, and then they just get right in. It's the Triumph team.
Next race,
well, because when they bring their loofah, you know that they don't realize it's a hot tub.
Next race, it's not a Triumph. That's a new news flash for next time. So why don't we go into why are we doing this? Who are we? What is this all about? Yeah, let's go.
Right. So I'm to blame for this, huh?
Yeah, Mental, you started this business, so why don't you explain what the hell Everyone Racers is?
So when I go to races, it's actually the only vehicle I have that I can plug my iPhone directly into is the RV. So I listen to a lot of podcasts, and not all of them are car related. And several of them we've shared. Like we are both big fans of S-Town and Serial and This American Life. So
fantastic.
Yeah, and so I had this idea that I wanted to do a podcast with my friends, but we just couldn't come up with an idea. But after I just drank enough beers, I emailed Chris and Chrissy and said, hey, let's do this. And after they drank a lot, they called me back, said, this is a great idea. We should totally do it, but we got to invite Jeff. So then actually from that, it actually came down to, well, this is what we've noticed is out there, and these are the needs that it's not meeting. So we kind of designed this whole thing from what we wanted. I mean, Chrissy?
So I think we heard you out, and I read the email, and then I was like, man, I'm going to bed. So then I decided that I was like, going to think about it, and are we really going to do this? I think that was the bigger question. What are we actually going to do with this?
That sounds like something Metal would do.
Right. So we were like, okay, great. And we had toss some names around. What are we actually going to talk about? So I think the biggest thing is we wanted to make sure that we were talking about, we actually had some topics to talk about, and we could make this sustainable. We also wanted to make sure that people could search for it. We came up with more ideas for just marketing, I think, is what we were trying to come up with. How can we make it spread worldwide, now I meant, to like 10 listeners. And if we can get 15, that'd be fantastic.
Prestige. Yeah. Worldwide, wide.
Well, we've got all our moms, so that's getting us most of the way there.
Totally.
And really, no,
my mom doesn't know how to do a podcast.
That's all right. Really, we're trying to make this something that's fun and relatable and actually informative and something that is just good to listen to.
Great. So why the hell am I here? I
Because
have no
we said
information.
Mental, we said no. There's no way we do this without Jeff. Jeff is the team mouthpiece. Jeff knows how this works. So tell us about how you know that.
Well,
Jeff.
seriously, every time a TV camera shows up as a team, we don't even do the thing
So
where like
true.
we start checking our hair or something like that. No. Oh, hey, there's a TV camera here. Somebody find Jeff. He's in the car. No, go ahead, swap him out. Bring him in here. Get him in.
Or
Get him in front
Jeff
of the
is
camera.
standing in a crazy T-shirt, a pair of underwear, or leopard print tiny pants, and a license plate.
Knee
and he
pads.
says, "I'm
Knee
ready."
pads.
Knee pads and safety glasses on his head. And then he
And a
said,
bathrobe.
"Oh, he's ready."
He's it. Mr. Seville, I'm ready for my close-up.
So basically, I'm here to make fun of and make sure we actually have show notes and stay on topic. So I guess that's all beneficial. So
Actually, you were totally geeking out before we started about your microphones and your mixers, so that's why you're here.
true. It's true.
Yes.
So yeah. So what we should probably mention.
You talk a big game, but
Hey,
you're
I'm
over
talking.
that's
The
very-
professionals are talking. Southern boy, shut your mouth. I guess we should explain, if he can stop giggling, Mr. Hare over there, that we actually are a race team. We should probably mention that for those of you, again, everyone who's going to listen to this knows us already, but we are a Lemons race team, Three Pedal Mafia. We have not just Lemons, we have broad resumes. We're going to get to the specific resumes, but really, when we talked about this podcast, we said the niche that's not there is maybe some actual real information about the world of low buck racing. So not only are we going to have a lot of conversation about our projects and things, but we're also going to talk about news and notes of the world of low buck racing.
That's perfect. Why don't we talk about our motorsports resume, Jeff? Like, why are we interesting? Really?
Well, I don't think we're that interesting, but I'll say who we are. My name's Jeff from New Jersey. I grew up in the back of an SCCA car, TSD rally car. My father is a multiple national champion, SCCA rallyist, TSD rallyist. I've gotten my idiot friends sometimes involved in that, and that's always fun.
Oh, we totally did that. It was great.
Yeah. It's a dying
we won.
sport. Yeah, it's a dying sport because nobody wants to do a slide rule while they drive anymore, but it's pretty cool. Let's see. How do I prove that I'm cool? I daily drove my 1973 Scout for like 7 years. Daily drove a DSM first generation for about 5 years. Generally, I drive my daily stuff hard. I do no maintenance. I never wash my car. Probably a better wrench than I am a driver. Chrissy already mentioned that I usually hang out in knee pads. I am the guy who will wrench on anything. Anybody's got a project, I'm next to him going, ooh, can I get greasy? Can I get greasy? Definitely racing for me when we decided to get into racing was the builds are part of what I love. I love the builds. I love the driving, obviously. Trying to get better. Nobody's as good as Chris, but I am a good traffic manager. What Mental is pointing to himself because he's trying to tell me Mental put me in my first race car. He literally looked at me when I strapped in for the very first time and gave me my first pep talk.
2010.
You
might have needed a pep talk because of the car that you were getting in at the time.
Yeah, it was kind of janky.
I can't decide if that's like one of those moments where, in the South, it's time for you to learn how to swim, and they just throw you in a lake, or, when you get caught smoking and they just give you a whole pack of cigarettes to smoke, and then, the next year trying to bump smokes off of you. I don't know which side of that guidance, that action of strapping you into a East German car that, you had built with, several other people mounted to a Volkswagen pan with a Subaru engine and Porsche brakes. And what was it that the guy that makes sure that everything that's German bolts together so we can go back to doing unsavory things?
That's Dieter.
Dieter, yes.
Dieter.
And that car still was stupid quick.
It was stupid quick, but Lemons has gotten faster.
Oh yeah, that car would barely be a Class C contender these days.
Yeah. So that's who I am. Drive a Mazda 3. We already mentioned that, but I am long roof for life. I run the Ombre. Ombre is one of our race cars we can talk about later. Chris already mentioned the Civic. So, hey.
How do you feel about drum brakes?
I love drum brakes. I hate drum brakes. I am the only MFer on this team who knows how drum brakes works.
No, it's not that you're the only one that's going to tolerate them.
Yeah,
There's a difference.
I know how they work, and I got rid of everything that has them.
True.
I swapped the Civic to disc brakes, even though the drum brakes are lighter, and none of the brakes do anything in the back of a Honda anyway. I only did it just so I wouldn't have to work on them.
That was a good move. We should do that for the Ombre also. I'm also the one who, like Chris says, hey, Jeff, here's the tool. It's supposed to help balance Weber carburetors. Go read on the internet. See how this thing works.
You're and I'd never heard this phrase until I met you. Your Google phone is strong.
My Google Foo,
yes.
Like Kung Fu, but Google Foo. Anyway, who else wants to give their resume? Chris, do it. You're up.
All right. My first car was an MGA when I was 15, so I obviously had to learn how to wrench if I actually wanted to go anywhere, especially with my second car, which is my winter beater, was an MGB GT. And by the way, this was in the late 90s or mid 90s, so they were already old. And
internet.
So anyway, I did that. I went to Skip Barber twice when I was young because my mother was very kind to me and she knew that was an interest I had. So I did the 2-day driving school at the Dodges, and I did the 3-day racing school and the Formula stuff. That was fantastic. I got an Integra GSR when I was in college, and that led to modifications because it was a 90s import scene, and that led to autocrossing because I wanted to actually race and not just stupid street racing stuff. And then that led to HBD days and BMWs and all kinds of things like that. So it's a fast story. I don't want to bore you too much with it.
Oh, no, you really should bore us because we're, just way ahead of schedule right now.
Well, fantastic. Well, we used to...
Now, actually, I'm gonna bug you there for a minute.
Yeah, please.
You mentioned that you had a few Hondas. I believe you built a few Hondas before you met us.
I was about to get to that. That was my next point in the line, Jeff. So thanks for the segue, buddy. That's great. When I was in college, I built Honda race cars for people mostly because I wanted to work on my cars because I could, and it was cheap, and I was a kid. And then other people who I knew were kids and were cheap and had cars said, well, can you do this for me? And so then certainly now I'm doing motor swaps and turbos, and we're going to the track and we're doing all kinds of stuff. And it was a great time and a fun time to play with cars because everyone was really into it at the time. We had a great group of people. I met some wonderful friends through that from back in the decal-free Honda days. And we had a great time with that. So I did that for a long time. Eventually I got an E30 325 IS that I did a lot of HPDs with. And then I got an E36 M3 sedan that was the best daily driver I've ever had. And then I got into Babe Rally thanks to the Grassroots Motorsports page.
We forgot to mention the Babe Rally.
The infamous Babe Rally.
That's how all of us jokers got together. Like, actually, the four of us wouldn't know each other if it weren't for Babe Rally. So that's probably a whole topic for a different show entirely. But that's how we met all of you guys. And then from there, we decided to get in Lemons. And then we went to Wartburg. And
also another show in itself.
Right.
I'd like to mention that I had a perfectly fine Celica ST 1.6 or 1.8, I can't remember, under 2 liters that you all said was a little too boring.
Hey, remember what happened? Remember what happened to people that drove that Celica on the Babe Rally after they bought it for? Was it blew up hella often?
Hella often.
Right.
Hella often, like minivan often, or Thunderbird
was that
often?
Bad.
Nothing that bad.
Well, it did completely fail before they got home. So that's the mark of a not great Babe Rally car.
They had a good attitude, though. They were into it.
Decent theme.
Yeah. Connie Celica.
Connie Celica. No,
Connie Celica.
Tom Celica, wasn't it?
Tom Celica.
I thought it was Connie.
No, that was the Lemons guy that used to hang a bunch of brushes off the back of the bumper of their Toyota. Tom Selleck
had a big mustache on it. Tom Selleck.
Tom Selleck, Tom Selleck Toyota, yeah.
The Babe Rally was a wonderful thing while it was still a good thing, and then it got ruined mostly by the guy that organized it having too big an ego. And anyway, different story for a different day.
And there goes another listener.
Yeah. We don't want him listening anyway. So we got into Lemons, which is much more fun. I think this is going to be my 34th race coming up at CMP. I'm also a NASA instructor for when we feel like playing with real racers. You can't see my air quotes. But it's a great way to get cheap track time for an instructor or free track time. And it's also a great way that Chrissy and I go to the track together and help her get better too. So that's what we do these days.
I need some of that instruction.
Mm-hmm.
You have a track that's down the street from your house.
I know. I need a weekend off every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
They have day things.
VIR, the weekend of October 6th.
Homecoming weekend, Stockton University won't be there.
I'm not going to help you anymore.
Actually, that's our big football game too. That's going to be a drag.
We don't have football. Undefeated since 1969. Woo-hoo! Stockton University.
Yep. So is my college. Go Babson.
Okay, back to topic. Mental. What's your history?
So I was always a car guy, and depending on who you talk to, either I get it honestly or they don't understand it, depending. But the problem is my dad was actually in car sales, so naturally, like any car salesman, he hated cars. And he hated the fact.
I sold cars for a while, and I loved them, but then I got out of the business because
because you come to this car here is $2,000 cheaper, makes 20 more horsepower, and gets 5 miles per gallon. Yeah, but that one's blue. Car guys can't stay in car sales because it just drives us all nuts. But Dad hated cars because he hated people who bought cars. So, and back in the days when the only car news you could get came out of a magazine, I had subscription to all of them, all the big four: Car and Driver, Automobile, Road and Track, Motor Trend. Before it was crap.
I would read Car and Driver cover to cover when it arrived when I was 12.
Seriously, me too, Chris.
Yes.
When you were 12, I was what, in college?
Probably.
This was before I was born. Before Car and Driver. No, I'm just kidding. Or after. Just kidding.
So was I.
Go ahead.
So So basically, when I got into this, I had to do it the hard way, and I've got this bizarre case of disjointed knowledge. Like, I know how to replace this part, but I don't know how to, like, the last race we were all at together. How do you not know how to do toe in on a car? I've just never had to do toe in on a car, so I never learned. I never broke it, which is how I learned everything that I know now, which is not substantial unless you look at it from how much I've broken, kind of a deal.
That's the only way I learned everything I did. Is I looked at it and looked at a shop manual and then thought about the people that I had met in my life who had worked on cars. And I said, well, if they can do it, I mean, I can figure this out.
My grandfather was a diesel mechanic for International Harvester. The day I brought that 73 Scout home, I sheared a drum brake. Yes, it's a theme, people, drum brake. As I was taking the wheel off the truck, my grandfather grabbed the wrench out of my hand, the lug wrench, and said, "You better join the Navy because you don't know shit about tools." And from that day on, I said, oh, my God, I got to learn this stuff.
Well, because if there's anything that knows a lot about tools, it's the Navy.
Exactly.
Never miss a chance to get a little Air Force dig in there.
Yeah, sure. Keep going, Runto. What you got?
Well, so I joined the Air Force, and then I made a lot of expensive mistakes. And one of these days, I'm going to stop making those expensive mistakes. But so I started out as an autocrosser. I had a Porsche 924. I was in Germany with the Porsche Club of America. Then I remember coming back to the United States thinking that I was actually really, really talented at that sort of thing. And then getting into Nebraska with the SCCA and realizing, oh, no, I have no talent at all. So I actually had to start paying attention. Then in Oklahoma, after I graduated college and I started doing some track days, and then moving to Colorado, I even got into motorcycles as well. So I started doing a lot of this stuff, and then got into the racing aspect of it. And then when you get to it, folks start helping you out, or they start asking your advice. And before I knew it, I was an instructor. So I'm doing instruction at autocross, I'm doing instruction at track days, and then like Chris, I'm a NASA instructor, I'm a BMW CCA instructor, a Porsche Club instructor, and then right after I retired from the Air Force, I even did a job full-time for a supercar company where I teach people how not to wad up Lamborghinis and Ferraris. And if I'm not mistaken, that's something that three of us have done, actually all together at one time, once or twice. And
yeah,
then,
it was a great time. Thanks for the little in on that. It's a good weekend.
Yeah,
helps pay for my racing. So
yeah, and that's a good way to use it. And they're actually going to be sponsoring my junior ROTC detachment here in a couple of weeks. They're going to pay them to all go work when they're down here in Atlanta.
That's fantastic.
And then one day I was on the Lemons board, and there was this contest where you had to write an essay to try and win a car, and the rest, as they like to say, well, it's history.
For another time.
For another time, yeah. Cool.
So that leaves basically the summer of our little Rick and Morty quartet to tell her car story.
The summer, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that means you. Just go.
Great. Okay, so
don't attempt to understand what Mental says.
No
Just
problem.
Keep
I was
going.
like, I didn't even get that cue because I didn't even know who you're talking about. Anyway, so I started my resume kind of started in a previous life, as I say, with my ex who was totally into cars. And he was really good for, he really liked a good deal. So if there was a very cheap, very rundown, maybe not working Volkswagen, we bought it. That's usually what happened. So I spent a lot of time learning about coolant issues. Check engine lights are totally a thing. That's exactly, everybody makes fun of them, but I had a Mark IV that had a check engine light on more than it didn't. So when I got into Volkswagens, I was one of those. I didn't quite wear a flat-brimmed hat, but I should have. But I went to Waterfest H2O, kind of gotten interested in cars that way. Did a little
at Waterfest. What was your favorite vape flavor?
So this I went to
crutch, yo.
I went in in the early 2000s, so that was way before vaping.
The pre-vape days. But what was the best car you guys ever brought to Waterfest?
They were still smoking cloves back in those days.
So the best car, this is a good question, the best car that we ever brought, we bought a Corrado, a V6 Corrado, supercharged. So it was at the time the fastest car I'd ever driven. And it was it was a show car. It was we paid more than we should have for it. And we wiped it basically with a baby diaper. And it was great. It was beautiful to look at, and we promptly sold it because we never drove it because it was scary. So
And it also had wider rear wheels than fronts because that's great on a front drive car.
it didn't quite have stance, but like the actual wheels that go sideways.
This is pre-stance?
Well, no. My friends had stance, but this car did not have stance. So, so I was totally in that scene. Sorry, not sorry, whatever. It got me here. So, and also I started doing some autocross in an E-Prepared Rabbit. So we drove it from central Pennsylvania down to D.C. and raced with D.C. autocross. And it was terrible driving an E-Prepared Rabbit on the highway down to D.C., but I learned.
Okay,
Nice.
so I'm going to see if I can make the summer reference work. Of course, this is probably copyrighted. I'm not supposed to do this.
I still don't
All
know
I heard
what's
is
going on.
stupid boobs.
Me too.
Yeah, nobody really got that. Let's not do that
Fair
again.
enough.
Okay, so
Put that in the show notes.
I'll quicken the rest of my story. So my first car was a 2000 Golf, and I bought it with a 5-speed before I knew how to drive 5-speed. So there's cred there. It had so many problems.
Absolutely. Jump in, figure it out. How
Yeah,
hard can it
totally.
be?
So and
I've seen some knuckle draggers do this. I should be able to figure it out.
I used to drive from my parents' house and across the street, like down probably a quarter mile to where I used to work at a fast food place. And the first time I drove my car, I drove and I stalled like 20 times. And I get out of the car totally shaking. And I said, I can do this. This is great. And then the next time I drove it, I only stalled 10 times. And then I stalled 5 times. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're not, you're new to driving stick or interested in driving stick, definitely take it a try. So I had many problems with it. Coolant. My dad told me not to buy it because he's total into Consumer Reports, but I did it anyway. So then I met all these guys on Babe Rally. So this is where.
Wait.
What?
So you did something your dad told you not to do?
Just that.
That doesn't sound like anything a young girl would ever do.
Well, and he was totally
Good
right.
move.
So that's the kind of thing is like, he said don't buy it because it's bad, and I learned all kinds of issues though. I kept G12, G60, G60, G12. What's the coolant?
GC is the supercharger that failed every 60,000 miles. I think that's why it was named that way.
Oh, okay.
G12 is the cool. You had to replace
Sorry,
it with
G12 is
12,000
the
miles.
coolant.
That's why
Okay,
I
that's
named that way.
So I went on right before I went on Babe, I bought my Mazda 3, 2007. I bought it, and it had, like I said before, it has 204,000 miles on it. So many upgrades. I love it to death. If anything happens to it tomorrow, I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. And you wouldn't even know that it has 204,000 miles on it. So it is. People look at it and you would have no idea. I have a Mazda friend in my parking lot who said he had a Mazda Speed, and we started geeking out on Mazdas. Isn't that cool? So we started geeking out, and he's like, "Oh, mine has 70," and I was like, "Mine has 204," and he was like, "Wait, what?" Yes.
And then she grabbed her crotch and said, "Suck it, loser."
I kind of did.
My protege had 227 when I crashed it on the stock clutch.
Yeah. The goal
That's
with Chrissy's
crazy.
car. Yeah, the goal with Chrissy's car is to hit 250. I think if we get 250, I'm satisfied, and that's why we're looking at buying another car right now, and Chrissy keeps rocking up the miles on hers, and I think the deal we've made is if she can take one of the nice cars one day a week, then she'll just keep rocking the miles on the Mazda, and the Mazda owes us nothing, and it's a great car to drive, so we're going to keep rocking.
Yeah, I've got 260 on mine, and I keep driving it.
260,
that's on
that's
the old
awesome.
one. And I get the Bourbon's got 180 on it.
Yep. So we're working, and that's why it's still around. And but I have a good time. It's we call it cheap and
Oh
cheerful.
yeah, you get nothing for it. You'd be better off caging it and entering it than as the next 3 p.m. car.
Oh, it will be. That's where it's headed. Yep. So anyway, we haven't really talked about our timing with 3 p.m., but I've been with 3 p.m. since the start, and I guess we should talk about at some point about our 3 p.m. history and how we all got here. But I also as Chris mentioned, HPDEs and getting better. So that's me.
Rock on. But so now it's time for a segment of the show that Jeff likes to call.
Tell us why you're wrong. Did we actually term this one? I don't remember.
Well, I think you said defend yourself.
I really expected you to be a lot more aggressive on that one.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't know we were going to that.
Defend yourself.
Defend yourself. Well, somebody told me we were ripping it off, so we don't know if we're going
We
to
are. That's totally a Camden Tub bit, and we shouldn't just rip them off.
Is it? I never heard them do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize.
Okay. Well, then crap. But it's not the same because it's not 3 people ganging up on one.
Well, we could just call it "You're Wrong Because," or.
And it's not 3 against 1 because I'm in the same boat because I'm ready to buy the same car.
All right, tell us what's going on, Chris.
So give us the background on this one there.
Okay. Chrissy and I are going to decide to buy a new toy car. We're deciding to sell a few toys and buy one nicer toy. So we already sold our 07 BMW Z4 M Coupe, which is a brilliant, brilliant car. Sold on a Bring a Trailer, got good money for it. In fact, only lost $2,000 in depreciation over 6 years and 40,000 miles, and had a great time with that car. It was
Love that car.
Such a win.
It was great. Also selling the MGA that I've owned since I was 15 because I really just I'm over it, and I've been over it for a while, but now I just want to do a few more things to it and move it along to someone else who's going to care about it, and I've made peace with it. It's fine. I've had it forever, but there comes a time where it's like, what's the point of making the car sit? So it's time to make it go. The Citroen has got to go. Jeff, you got any paperwork for that yet?
No, but I will call up the DMV and find out what's going on.
If you could ask somebody, that'd be great.
The French aren't up to speed with their paperwork? No.
No, the New Jersey DMV has a process by which you can get a title for a car which has no title. But big surprise for New Jersey, it is neither brief nor simple. So we're working on that.
And you can't turn left.
True. No. Jug handles for the lose. Anyway, go ahead. All right, what are we buying? Talk about it.
We decided we wanted a car that was a modern classic. We wanted a car that the roof came off at least partially, at least Targa or convertible, because we like that, and we've enjoyed Miatas and things in the past that had it. Has to have a manual transmission because it's a toy car. Has to be track capable, and has to be special. It can't be something normal, and also something is not going to depreciate anymore because I had such a great time with the not depreciating BMW. I want the same thing. So we narrowed it down to an Aston Martin DB9 Volante 6-speed, which they made about 8 of them, and 7 of them are black. And I don't want a black car because they get dirty.
Good luck.
And Franco's not letting go of that other one.
Right, exactly.
Next.
A Porsche 997 Turbo Cab manual, which are brilliant. But again, most of them are black. And Mental said that I was too young to have one.
And now I agree. I have taken that to heart.
Because you're involved in a relationship with an age appropriate girl. You've got all of your hair. You're not a passed over
Honda guy forever. I know how they work. I get it. And it's an NSX. It's Honda builds a Ferrari.
And this is going to be a terrible version of our first episode of this, but yeah, okay, cool. When I got my second 911, all my buddies in Oklahoma all had NSXs, and they're all brilliant, every one of them.
Awesome.
So I've narrowed it down to one specific car now that I'm trying to buy. In general, we wanted a 95 plus because I wanted the Targa. A 97 plus would be great because it's 3.2 in the 6-speed, but they go for like 10 grand more than
because everyone knows.
Targas. Right, exactly. But then the 02 to 05s go for another 10 grand more at least. They go for stupid money. Like the low mileage ones goes for at least what they were sold for new, if not more. Now, so I found an 05 in Florida, 73,000 miles, 2 owners, and it's great. I talked to the guy that owns it. He's like, well, I've got 7 cars, and I just bought this Bentley that I've wanted for a long time, and I really need to sell some. And the NSX is brilliant to drive, but it's really hard for me to get in and out of as I get older, and my arthritis is getting bad. So that's why I'm selling it. Here's the best part. I talked to him less than a week ago. He lives in Jacksonville, Florida. His house is not on the beach. It's one house back from the beach. So I told him, you do what you got to do. When you're ready to talk, let me know, and then we'll talk a little bit more. But it was owned by a doctor in Palm Beach, and now this guy, and it's got service records, and it's an 05, and it's red with tan interior, and it looks hot as hell. And yeah, trying to make it work.
Dope. I like it.
All right, so Mental, thumb up or thumb down? Is Chris right or is he wrong?
I'm setting a dangerous precedence because I'm agreeing with Chris, and we managed to go entire race weekends and make sure this never happens. But yeah, no, he's right. I still like that Aston Martin I sent you off Bring a Trailer, but I understand your objection because it was black, like all of the rest of them.
It was a Vantage, and Vantage has clutch problems. They go like 20,000 miles on a clutch, and I'm not really interested in that. The V12s and the DB9s go a lot longer. It's a dual plate. Anyway, next.
Okay.
I just, my heart is still in the 911 Turbo. I don't know why you just scoffed so quickly over the 911 Turbo. Like, Mental said you're not going to look cool in it. Fuck Mental. What the hell does Mental know?
How many professors do you have rolling up to Stockton in 911 Cabros that are losing their hair and are, all of a sudden they find themselves dating a master's thesis?
No, it's a state school.
Zero. They're all hippies.
So yeah,
they're rolling up in vans.
No,
they're opening the door. The smoke pours out. It's a totally different hippie
the
vibe
West
culture.
Indian dope smoking team and Omar.
Okay, so I was hesitant on the NSX. I was really, really interested in the 911. That was my interest of these three cars.
I knew I liked you for a reason.
Oh yeah, I know. So we drove.
When she starts dating age inappropriate, it's Ricardo, the yard boy.
You don't have a yard boy. It's me actually, because I do the yard work. Anyway, so I think the NSX, I love it. We drove one, drove two, saw two different ones, and I love it. I think it's the way to go. So hopefully we'll see if this actually works out.
Yeah, real quick, just show of hands. Anyone drive the new NSX yet?
Just
no one? Just me.
No.
Chris, I gotta say, the new NSX is fucking brilliant. If the old NSX is half the car, you're probably making the right decision. And if anything, the new NSX is going to boost the value of the old NSXs.
It already kind of has. The new NSX costs as much as I paid for my house. So I'm not really interested in doing that.
But it is more advanced and more reliable.
Yeah, but the old one though, how many people have driven those 200,000 miles?
Oh yeah, all of them.
But how many people do you see with an F355 that have gone 200,000 miles? There might be one guy ever, and he's crazy. So.
All right. So now it's time for.
In the end, am I right or wrong? What's the general consensus?
No, you're right.
Yeah, you're probably right. Wait. Let me ask. Do I get to drive it?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Fucking buy it. Let's go.
Perfect. Good.
Let's do it.
Do I get to drive it?
Get it done.
Yes, if you're here.
Let's go to Florida right now. Get in the car.
We almost did that this week.
If the car's not flooded, I'm gonna buy it. It's just a matter of I got to talk to the guy, and I don't want to.
Don't let him hear this. He'll jack the price.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, as always, we're talking about entry-level racing, and one of the things you need for every level of racing is, well, your eyes, and that leads us to a safety tip that we call. Just the tip with Chrissy.
That was terrible.
That was horrible.
That was
Chrissy.
All right, we're going to try that again. So we're going to go with a segment we like to call Just the Tip with Chrissy.
Okay, we're going to get some intro music to this because that was really sad. Okay, so Just the Tip with Chrissy is all about PPE, which is personal protective gear. Hopefully you've heard of that acronym. So I work in safety. I work in propane safety, and I write all kinds of propane safety.
And propane accessories.
No propane and propane accessories.
No accessories. Okay. Anyway, so we often talked about like how safety minded are you, and I think I'm pretty safety minded. So, but I also try to look at most of our team to figure out if they are safety minded, which sometimes they are not safety minded.
We're not.
So, well, some of us are. Well, and
Jeff, hold that grinder in your feet.
Right. So I think that basically with PPE, you're basically protecting yourself first. That's what you're doing. You're wearing something so you can protect yourself. Or your
Eric, weld on that live gas tank.
Or your dumb friends that are doing something close to you that if you have PPE on, that really helps you as well. So I have to say that when I am working, I totally stop everybody else and tell them to put their PPE on. So that's I don't like to get hurt. That's my step one.
Did she tell me to pee-pee? I didn't hear that.
Stop it. So I tell them
protective PPE.
I tell them,
okay, got it.
Okay, hello. So I tell them
don't get it on your hootis.
So I don't like to get hurt, but I don't want to be the person taking everybody to the hospital. So do I always wear PPE? I can't say that I always do. So I am notorious for wearing flip-flops in the garage, and some of us are as well. But Jeff, I'm pretty sure you have some good. What kind of PPE do you sport?
I have glasses all time. I am a glasses guy, and I am a knee pad guy. I love my knee pads, full shoes, boots. Try and do it all the time, but that's just because my feet are ugly, and I try and avoid the flip flops.
Do you have anything that we have? Anybody have any good stories for times that you should have worn PPE and that didn't?
I should have worn gloves when I put a stud in the firewall through my thumb in New Hampshire, and the wiper motor kept moving it, and that was 5 stitches. That was a shame. That's why I wear gloves all the time now.
Not so much personal protective equipment, but someone took the safety guard off of a grinder, and that's why I have this cool scar on my neck. That's a story for another time.
Yeah. I take the safety guard off of every grinder.
We always do. So
did we?
Okay, so just the tip is take an extra second to think about your PPE before you start a job, and so you don't go to the hospital for something stupid. Also, might when Christmas is coming, ask your significant other for some cool PPE and
or your mom.
Or your mom, right? And then you'll be safe all the time.
So it might be a disappointment, but she doesn't want you to have to use ointment because that's just the tip with Chrissy.
Oh my! I think
we have a delay. We'll have to cut this out. Hold on.
Mental.
Hey,
hold on.
Guys. After Mental's song, our internet froze and we got nothing.
Okay, so start. We'll just cut it out. Go ahead.
All right, so, well, thanks for downloading another episode. I'm Mental.
I'm Chris.
I'm Chrissy.
And we thank you for downloading us. I'm Jeff, and we hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Races. We also... We also hope you join the world of driving, racing, and building because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this pod, please leave us a 5-star review and click the subscribe button on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. If you didn't like us, leave 5 stars and tell us why we suck, and we may read it on the air and take your feedback seriously. If you have any questions or want to give us some show ideas, drop us a comment on the Facebook page, Everyone Racers. Or like our race team Facebook page, the 3-Pedal Mafia Lemons Race Team. If you'd like to help us produce the show, donate to the cause at patreon.com/everyoneracers. Thank you again. And until next week, keep the shiny side up. Unless there is no shiny side, then just keep the wheels down.
Awesome.
Hey, we still finished this in under an hour. That was 57 minutes. So... we started out kind of slow, then we kind of drug it out, but we still managed to stay on schedule. That's pretty dope.
Yeah. I think when we speed up, we just need to find a way, instead of just saying, this applies to me as much as anybody, instead of just saying things faster, saying fewer things.
True.